Ben 10 Alien Force has a lot of potential and it follows through on a good bit of it, but there is one aspect to the show that should have been expanded on: the Force in Alien Force. Ben is building his team of alien hybrids, and the first one we meet is Alan Albright. Now I should say, I think Manny, Helen, and Pierce are all underused as well, but Alan should have been a semi-permanent member of Team Tennyson in my opinion. I just think he's more interesting than the other plumber's helpers. Like, he's a 10-year-old that can turn into heatblast. He would have been a perfect sidekick for Ben, and a great addition to the team. We get little moments of Ben teaching Alan how to use his powers, and everyone talks about the weather, and more of this could have made Ben feel more like a great leader, you know? It would have also given us more story potential. Plus, Alan could have provided some sorely needed diversity. I'm just saying, why would they introduce this awesome character and rarely bring him out? And the times he does come back, he barely has anything to do. That's because he's competing for screen time with 3 other characters. Justice for Alan, man. Such a cool character, kind of wasted. Anyway, here's our full review of Everyone Talks About the Weather.
What do you get when you mix the Human Torch, Static Shock, and Heat Blast, Mr. Alan Albright?
He is a plumber's kid.
In the first, the first couple episodes of Alien Force, you get him building a team, and they don't really do much with it after this. After the
really
world,
don't.
Manny, Helen, and Alan are all versions of Ben's aliens from past series.
Yeah, Ben 10 Classic.
Yeah, so we got Forearms, Accelerate, and Heat Blast represented. My personal opinion, we'll talk more about this when we get to Helen and Manny, but my personal opinion would have been, if I was doing this, right, you get Tetrax back.
Yeah.
So you get the top 4.
Yeah.
And then they're a team in the universe somewhere.
Oh, that'd be sick. That could have been like their own spin-off show.
Yeah, for sure. And I know Max is great.
Because everyone loves Tetrax, too.
Yeah, and they don't do anything with him. Like, Tetrax is a fan favorite character of mine.
Yeah.
And they don't really do anything with him. They kind of ruin his character in season 3 of this, I think. And we'll get more into it obviously as we go. Yeah. But that would have been my plan, is like have Tetrax, Alan, Manny, and Helen all there doing adventures in the universe, and then Ben can call them if he needs them. And they're like a whole squad rolling up, you know?
Yeah. I like that. I like that idea.
As far as Alan goes in this episode, perfect. I love him to death. He is one of my favorite characters. I wish they did more with him, honestly.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of the Heat Blast redesign for Alien Force. I liked the bulkier version of Heat Blast from Ben 10 Classic. Nothing wrong with Alan or anything. It's just the art style that they went for a beloved character from the original series. You know what I mean?
I think this, because when you get an art style shift, it's not as crazy or dynamically different as the switch from UAF to Omniverse.
Yeah.
But there is a small difference, and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And like the art style kind of reflects the cheaper animation. They don't do like the second layer of animation within his magma. It's just kind of like all the same thing, or it'll just be kind of washed out one color.
Yeah.
So it does look a little bit different. Excuse me. But it is still that peak design, I think. Like the Heat Blast, like fiery Rockman is still a great design.
Yeah. I've never understood, like, Ben tells him at one point, because he's like, oh, I'm not good at flying, and we see throughout the whole episode that he's crashing all over the place. He goes, well, I did something to kind of take care of that. He's flying on a rock, but I don't know why he did that. He's flying on a rock.
It's Halloween. We've got a black cat in here with us.
Yeah. But how is he flying on the rock? Why is the rock now able to fly?
I always took it as he's manipulating the fire underneath the rock. Like he's using it to propel. Sort of like a Static Shock uses the sewer grate thing.
Well, Static Shock makes a lot more sense because it's electromagnetic waves.
Yeah, but then again, I think he's a kind of a reference to Static Shock because Dwayne McDuffie worked on that show, didn't he?
Yeah, what a great show that was.
Great show and great character, great reference, I would say.
Yeah.
It doesn't make quite as much sense, but and also Ben never does that. We never see him do that in Classic or whenever.
Yeah, he says that, and then we never see that. We've seen him fly as Heat Blast, and he does pretty well with it.
He's also kind of, I say Static Shock, he's also kind of Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Because young black character with powers of established white character already.
Yeah.
Not that matters. This is just a thing I'm pointing out.
Yeah.
But he uses the powers.
Canceled.
Yeah, canceled. He also uses the powers differently, which is interesting and more dynamic between those characters.
And of the 3, like Manny, Alan, and Helen, I think Alan's the coolest. Manny always came off as like an angry whiner. You know what I mean?
They don't transform back into people either. Like they're stuck as their hybrid form.
And then Helen just wasn't really that cool.
She's just kind of a sweet, nice, lady character, you know?
And for me, I'd rather have Alan.
The idea of him switching back and forth between a human and alien is so cool to me.
Oh, yeah.
I wish they all could do that.
Yeah.
Like, that would be so much cooler if it was like, we got these transformations in between. And they could blend in better.
Yeah.
Like, Helen and Manny can't really blend in at all.
Yeah. No. Which it could be like just how because each alien species is gonna be different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it makes sense that maybe their alien DNA is just more powerful.
Yeah.
And overtakes the human side.
Yeah.
You know.
It is interesting. There's a retcon in Omniverse. I mean, we got to talk about it for bringing up Alan.
I hate it.
And Kevin and Helen and Manny. All these characters get retcon to where the Rooters, which is like a group of rogue plumbers, use Kevin's abilities to give alien abilities to young kids.
Yeah.
Pretty messed up in their point of view, but it
takes them from being descended from aliens to no, you're just mutants again, and I don't like that. I don't dislike it because I really hate the idea of a Pyronite impregnating a human woman. Yeah, because it's like, how did that happen? Spider-Man acid rain kind of thing. You know what I mean? Or is it the comic? I think so. You know what I'm talking about? Radiated sperm. Because Alan's at one point he's locked up by the cops in this one, and he spits. And his spit literally burns. He says "Hawk Tua." Yeah, he really. I'm not even joking. He says that spits on that thing. Doesn't really make much sense, but whatever. It's fine. We'll go for it. So yeah, it's just. But I liked it more as an alien thing, and there was nothing wrong. If you didn't think too deep on it, there was nothing wrong with this story side that you needed to retcon it in the next one. So I'm not really that happy about it, but I digress. I think it works fine, and I think it kind of fleshes out more of the alien force, the idea of Ben leading an army of human alien hybrids is much more interesting than, I mean, that's what they are, but it's the way that they get their powers, I guess, is more, because I like the idea that the plumbers were such a big deal. And now it feels like the plumbers were the ones, there was a sect of plumbers who were actively making these kids it doesn't feel as mutants cool. Or whatever. But the sheriff in this, he does say, he's like, "You little mutant." Yeah, because they don't know about, most people don't know about aliens. But yeah, the cops in this were pretty interesting. They locked him up in an ice chest, basically. Yeah. I do like that they mentioned keep him in there until we figure out a judge to figure out what we have to do with him. Because when they put him in there and they left and they turned the light off, I was like, this is almost like torture. They're questioning him out without anybody present. This is not this is going completely against his rights. So when he said that about the judge, I was like, well, at least he knows what he's doing isn't protocol. I think a level of that too is he knows the Albrights. He says out of respect for your folks, I haven't done anything yet, but so you locked him in an ice chest and turn the light off. That's the big for me. That's the big issue. Keep him locked up there. Keep the light on. Yeah, keep the light. Why do you have to turn the light off? You're just making a kid sit in darkness. You know what I mean? Where is his parent? Out of respect for his parents, why haven't you contacted his parents? Yeah, have they not? I guess because the reason he locks him up is because there's been fires set all over the cornfield or whatever. Yeah. And it's okay, that's not who cares? It's, I mean, obviously you would suspect the kid who can turn into a fire creature. The crop circles end up just being D and aliens building a weather machine, which what was their plan there? How did they think the locals weren't going to notice that there was snow? Or they just didn't care. They didn't care that the locals would notice. What time period does this take place in? But see, that's weird too. Why wouldn't they care when in the last episode they basically say you revealed our whole operation, and their whole bit through season 1 is to be secretive. Yeah. And this episode just flies in the face of everything we see before and after the events of this episode. Yeah. I mean, they should have done this in a desert or something. Yeah. I think they go to Los Alamos. Yeah, I think so. I don't remember if that's DNA aliens or not. I know that's the paradox thing, but I don't know if that's, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. I'm way more experienced with classic and all. I know more about that stuff, but do it in a less populated area. I know there's a couple people there, but either take care of those people or do it in somewhere that's less populated. Yeah, 100%. And it's a little convenient that Alan's there. Yeah, it is definitely, but that's the only way to introduce them, you know what I mean? Plus, Ben 10 is no stranger to convenience for convenience sake. Any Magic episode has got a bunch of hand-waving. Sure. But we also get a new alien, and it's one of your personal favorites. Blue Streak. Yeah, who was then later called Jet Ray. Yeah. Maybe if he was blue, I would like him more. I bet you would. I liked his. I like his design how it is now. His face is very fun to me. I like his kind of wide set mouth, and he's got the good he actually gets a transformation, Yeah, this is the first transformation we see where it actually makes sense. It's more classic, Yeah, his arms elongate, he gets the wings, his whole face turns inwards and stuff. It's super cool. Meanwhile, for Swampfire that we get later in the episode, he bends over and then his chest expands and then boom, he's Swampfire. You would think with Swampfire, his most iconic alien in this couple seasons, they would give him a good transformation. And arguably one of the most versatile aliens we ever see in the show. Yeah, he knocks over a weather tower in this. He's got juice. He anchors himself. He shoots out gas in this one as well that lets him control plants to take them off. He's got fire powers. He's super strong. Like, the most versatile alien in Ben's arsenal.
You can't kill him either. He gets... We just talked about this the other day in one of our shorts. It was like Swampfire has his little arm like all shriveled up when Ben has his arm issue.
Yeah.
But like Swampfire can get shredded up. Like the goop, one of the goops like flying discs to like shred him to pieces.
Yeah.
But he's like fine. Like he just pops his head. And he's like, what was that for? Like,
he's like, well, that was uncalled for.
It was just like an easy little boom. You know, he's like you can't kill Swampfire essentially.
Yeah.
I wonder what their planet is like. Like, what is the Methanosians?
Yeah.
Is that what they're called? Methanosians?
Meth heads, if you will.
I will, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Probably does have a lot of methane and like carbon dioxide there and stuff.
I just wonder if like they're peaceful, like they just kind of hang out in like a swamp type area, or if it's like, because they can pretty much terraform a whole planet with their abilities of like plants and stuff.
I would hazard to think that they could be omnivorous, both carnivorous and vegetarian.
Sure.
Because like, you know, they have offensive capabilities, which would make you think that they're an apex predator.
Yeah.
So they could eat others, but also they're part plants, so they probably could, if they needed to, get nutrition and stuff from just like photosynthesis and whatnot.
Photosynthesis.
So I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see their planet though.
Yeah. I think a lot of the planets you don't think about, like like we talked about Cannonbolt and how OP he was.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that Cannonbolt was like a more docile, like relaxed species.
Yeah.
Because they were such an apex predator, essentially. Yeah. Well, not predator, but like nothing could attack them.
Yeah.
And that's why they were so unprepared for when the Tick came and destroyed their planet.
Yeah.
They just didn't know what to do. They're like, well, we're always used to peace because no one can attack us, really.
Yeah.
So like they were.
It's kind of like the guy who's Terraspin, you know.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Like they could be an apex predator.
But they were
very easily.
They were more like sophisticated, kind of like
peaceful monks.
Yeah,
you know.
So I like that kind of world building of like the species has more to it than just like we're powerful. We shoot out fireballs and control plants and everything. But yeah, back to Jetray. We get his neuroblast in this, and they behave like neuroblasts, where it actually like affects his brain. It's not just like a laser beam like it is later on.
Yeah.
And then he's going super fast.
He's flying.
We talk about how Heat Blast has had moments where he goes, the faster he spins, or the hotter he gets, the faster he goes.
Yeah.
And I think Alan's doing a little bit of that super speed in this.
Yeah.
And that's sort of an understated power of Heat Blast / Alan. So it's cool that, you know, Jetray gets the... And I think Jetray could... I think Ben's sort of pulling punches when he's fighting him.
Yeah. My problem with Jetray too, like the more I think about it, because I'm not a big Jetray fan.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people like Jetray for what... I think it's because he's over... It's the same Humongosaur issue.
Yeah.
Where like he's overused in Alien Force and UA so much that people don't like him so much.
Well, when he's your only fast flyer,
you
know, you're going to go to him a lot. But my problem with it is he's flying, but he never flaps his wings. And to me, that pisses me off, because how are you going to glide and then also be fast? You know what I mean?
Just wait until you get to Astrodactyl and Omniverse.
Yeah. He doesn't look cool.
He has like a jetpack, but also wings.
Yeah.
People like Astrodactyl. They sort of replace Jetray with Astrodactyl.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
I feel like they just can't really nail down flying aliens. I think they're some of the weakest aliens, in my opinion.
Stinkfly, I think, is a good example of a good flying alien.
I would say Stinkfly is a classic, but even then, I don't like him as the only flying animal or flying alien.
Why not?
He's just not that cool. Like, he's goofy, he's fun, he's got a cool like power set, or a funny power set. But to me, it's not the power isn't there, you know, like he's not like a Heat Blast or a Diamond Head or a
Forearms.
Swampfire kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if he couldn't fly, he would be a very useless alien.
I guess you're right, but that's you know, these aliens aren't like Pokemon where they were designed with like an idea in mind. These aliens are a creature that exists in the real world.
Yeah.
And he's a big bug. I mean, that's, you know, there's nothing more natural than a big bug.
Yes, in the world of Ben 10, yes, they're just aliens, and that's their... But when you're making a show, and he's using them as superheroes, so they're essentially superpowers.
He's not a superhero. He turns into a bunch of monsters.
That's Dwayne's vision that the studio never really agreed with. So
I think the studio was like, oh, you mean like Marvel or DC? We can do that. And he's like, well, it's X-Files. You know what I mean? We're not.
So I've always, I think, had beef with Ben's flying aliens that I've never really ever vocalized before seeing Jetray.
What's your favorite flying alien then at that point? Is it Big Chill?
Yeah, it's got to be Big Chill.
Not even like Heat Blast or something?
No, because I don't consider he can fly, but he's not a flying alien.
Alan
but he is better than like most of Ben's flying aliens. You know what I mean?
I think Stinkfly is one of my faves in the classic.
No, I'm not a big Stinkfly fan at all. He's funny, he's goofy, but I don't care for him that much.
Well, I don't know. I do see where you're coming from as far as like the lame factor, right?
Yes.
Like
he's got most of his flying aliens have too much of a lame factor to overcome for me to like them. That's a good word, though. Lame factor. I like that because that's basically what's overruling most of their other stuff.
So, but
I can dig with because he can breathe in the water and swim and stuff.
He can breathe underwater. We see that like maybe once.
Yeah.
But that's just that shows you how much they were like. Well, no one. It's like the Aquaman debate where it's like Aquaman's lame when he's like pretty cool
if you were in water.
Yeah, right. But same with Ripjaws and all that too. Yeah. You know what I mean? The aerophibians don't flap their wings as much because I think they're used to flying in space.
Oh, gotcha.
Because we see him.
But how do they propel themselves forward?
Good question.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have to make 100. It doesn't have to.
I know it doesn't,
sense.
but that's why I don't like. Because visually, he's not flapping his wings.
Yeah.
And for me, that just bothers me.
At least with Stinkfly, his wings were kind of like going crazy
he was flying.
in the back.
Yeah, he was a bug. He flying.
Yeah.
Even Big Chill, he kind of floats more, but that's okay because he's also like ghostly.
He's a ghost. Yeah,
know?
It makes more sense. And his wings are more like a cape anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Or more glidey.
Yeah,
you know?
That design aspect doesn't bug me as much. I guess that's
and he's flapped them before. You know?
Sure, I bet Jet Ray's probably flapped before, but he's not like a hummingbird. But it's always like got to vibrate and go crazy. And
so I don't know. I'm not a big Jet Ray fan.
Are you familiar with the idea that like you ever seen a bird like looks like he's standing still in film and like video,
but it's just frame rate?
Yes. What about that? What about Jet Ray's flapping his wings so fast because he is a speedster? That you just don't see him flap his wings.
I don't like that. No.
But it's an explanation.
It's not something that we would notice, though. Like, we don't see... It's through the lens of an actual camera or something that the frame rate...
Well,
our eyes don't match up frame rate wise for that to make sense.
But, I mean, this is a piece of,
No.
This is a piece of...
it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and you know it.
I think you could say this, You could interpret it as like we're looking at it through a lens.
No, don't. No.
You could.
It doesn't work. I'm not agreeing to that in the slightest.
Well, that's my personal headcanon, that he's flapping his wings so damn fast you can't even see him.
That's stupid. That's a stupid headcanon.
Yo, Grim, you're stupid.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Jet Ray has an impressive first showing.
Yeah,
I will say that it's a pretty cool aerial fight. We get some like comedy and stuff in this episode too. I really like Kevin, Ben, and Gwen's whole dynamic. We were talking about how like Ben's like, we got to go home faster. I'm gonna get grounded, and Kevin's like, well, if you're grounded, I can hang out with Gwen. And Gwen's like, ew, no, I don't want to.
First of all, you're gross.
Yeah, and it's so funny. Like you were talking about earlier, they get to where when Alan breaks out and there's a big hole, and Gwen goes like, what do you make of this? And they go, well, it's a hole.
What do you make of this?
Big hole.
Helpful.
But like genuinely, I'm on the guy's side because it's like, it looks like a Class C weapon fired and it broke, and then you can see the particles on the side. Like, what are you supposed to? It's a hole. We don't know.
They get a message from Alan's badge, his dad's badge, and they think it's a Grandpa Max thing. So they're like, I don't know where they're going in the first place, but they derail that mission. They're just like, let's go check this out.
I think they were coming home from a mission because they were going home.
Oh, yeah, okay. He definitely got grounded then after this. If he did all this in the middle of the night,
Yeah. Something I was going to mention, though, and it kind of segues perfectly into it. So we see he's got his badge from his dad, and it's detachable, and so the cop takes it off of him. There are so many scenes where they just reuse the old drawing, and anytime he's flying and Ben still has the badge, every now and then you'll see a couple frames where he still has it on him, where they used it. And at first, like when he first flies out of the cop station, he's got it on. And I was like, you're not supposed to have that. And then it kept happening from then on. I was like, he doesn't have it. And then like if it was an extended time where he's talking and stuff, he wouldn't have it. But for stills or like 4 to 5 frames when he jumps up to fly away or something, he's got it on him. And I was just like, stop that. I hate that you've done this, and I hate that I've noticed it because now I'm seeing it every single time,
That's just animation errors, baby.
Yeah.
That's like I feel like that. I don't like the Omnitrix logo.
That would be a cinema sin, by the way.
Ding. Yeah, it would be. I don't like the Omnitrix logo being the plumber badge logo.
I kind of like it.
I don't like it because it doesn't set Alan apart differently in any way. I mean, he's smaller. I guess he's not the peak of the species. He's just Alan.
Yeah.
He's not like Ben, who can like turn into the peak of the species. So he's a little bit smaller and shorter. But like the Omnitrix symbol is Ben's thing. Like make it a plumber symbol that's like the red spot or whatever. Make that.
I disagree because I like the fact that Azimuth makes the Omnitrix as the ultimate peace, peace item. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Yeah, like the way to walk a mile in someone else's
Yes,
shoes
it's the ultimate way to garner peace between races. So what better symbol to use for a police force that's maintaining peace throughout the universe than the Omnitrix symbol? It's the same kind of job title, essentially.
Okay, I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah,
that's an interesting take on it. Yeah,
so I like it in that sense.
I just wish it looked different because I don't want to be like, oh, is that Heat Blast or Alan? Now it's like,
we know the difference. Trust.
One's bigger.
Yeah.
One's
you know
tougher.
exactly when you see a Heat Blast. Or
I mean, a
Alan.
10-year-old Heat Blast is much bigger than like 15-year-old Alan.
Well, that lends credit to the fact that it's not a 10-year-old, and it's in fact a fully grown, fully fleshed out.
Not a 10-year-old, but like it's like proportionate to that lifespan of the alien.
Anyway,
you know what else is interesting? I was doing some research for a short. They never say in the show, as far as I'm aware, that I could find, that he turns into the peak versions of aliens.
Yeah, I know. You've always just told me that since the beginning.
Yeah.
But they've never also said that they are 10-year-old aliens either. This is just
true.
all assumptions based on the fan base.
Based on assumptions, based on other stuff, like, when he turns into a 4-year-old, his aliens all turn into 4-year-old aliens and stuff. And when he gets older, they look different visually. So
I think we've had things from like creators talking about it, but
it's always inconsistent. Every show has a different head writer or showrunner that has like a different opinion on stuff. I think Dwayne is of the opinion. Dwayne McDuffie, who's a big part of UAF. I think he was head showrunner and stuff. Force. UAF is Ultimate Alien Force.
Oh, gotcha.
That's sort of the fans' way to not have to say Alien Force and Ultimate Alien every single time. But he was of the opinion that they weren't the peak versions of the aliens. They were just an example of that species. Yeah. And I don't hate that, especially when we get to Ultimate Alien. I like that it's a different watch, so you can have your own rules with it.
Yeah.
Like, when he scans all the Andromeda 5, he looks exactly like them.
And that kind of makes sense, too, because if they were the peak one, you would think from the get-go they would be the ultimate versions of those aliens. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, that does lend credence to it.
But then in Omniverse, which is the different watch again, so maybe for Omniverse Forward, it's the peak versions, but, like, Kick and Hawk is the perfect example. Yeah. Liam is like this kind of small chicken kind of villain of the week dude, and Kick and Hawk is like this big beefy guy. I don't know.
I think they drew inspiration from the Looney Tunes guy.
Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit, honestly. I say. Yeah, because Liam's not saying that.
Tennyson.
Liam's not saying that stuff, but he is kind of doing like he's doing chicken noises every so often.
So that'd be cool though.
The big plot of this episode, though, basically, is that the DNA aliens are building a weather machine. Also, Richard McGonigal voices the DNA aliens, which I thought was funny.
We are the DNA aliens, and we will destroy you all.
Who is that?
Forearms and...
Yes, when he was talking, I was like, I feel like that's an alien voice, but I don't know which one it was. Who was also... Do you know, off the top of your head, who was voicing the sheriff? The black guy sheriff?
Kevin Michael Richardson.
That's what I thought. I was like, he sounds super familiar.
Very distinctive voice. Great voice. Love his voice.
Love his voice. Yeah. But I was like, I know you.
Oh, and if we're talking about voice actors, did you recognize the guy who played Alan at all?
No.
Guess I'm too hot to handle.
And I thought you nailed it. You sounded cool up there.
It was Zeno Robinson, who you might know as Hawks from My Hero Academia.
Oh, really? The dubbed version?
Yeah, the Funimation dubbed version, I guess.
I've never watched the dubbed version.
Well, I have, and he sounds great. And a lot of people on the internet got very horny when he did that I'm a voice actor thing.
I don't understand why.
He's just a cool dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to talk about Gwen's powers in this a little bit, too. In the last episode and in this episode, she's doing this move where she's, like, using her power. Yes, she's using her powers to, like, spread out around a guy. Look at this. This is like a Smiling Friends joke.
Or it's old mid 2000s when you wanted to know that it was a 3D movie you were watching.
Yes. You're the hero, Charlie. You're the one I want.
You're the one that I want.
She does her powers and they go out, like her energy goes out around them, and then it turns into like a grab move, and she pulls them through.
I hate that move.
You hate it? Why?
I don't like it because I hate the way it looks. Because most of her abilities look glassy, you know. This one looks more rubbery, and like thicker. You know what I mean?
Like a slime.
Yeah, and I don't like the inconsistency there. Also, we start to get the first revelations that Gwen is descended from alien, but we get a little bit of a typo. Kevin says to Gwen, "You get your alien ancestry from your grandpa," which isn't true. She obviously gets it from her grandma.
Grandma, yeah.
Which I guess you could further interpret. He means like your grandma
Grandma's
had sexual relations with the grandma, but I didn't like the way he worded it in that sense.
I don't love the idea that there's so much like genetics and lineage to powers. It makes it feel less special.
I disagree. I think it makes the world feel more fleshed out and more connected. It makes more sense.
But
in
it also,
Ben 10 Classic, Gwen has magic powers for the sake of the writers wanting Gwen to just contribute. You know what I mean?
And it was the scary season, so she gets witch abilities.
Exactly. So, but it's not really connected. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know, same with Kevin. He's a mutant, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not connected. But then when you come to Alien Force, and it's like, no, she doesn't have magic powers. She has antidote abilities from aliens. And then Kevin, oh, my father was also an Osmosian. It's all connected. And it shows that Earth has always been part of this alien universe. You know what I mean?
I just think it narrows it down too much to be like, because I like the idea that there are different sources of power. Like you could be a magician, or you could be, and it's still within the world. Obviously, we still have Hex and Charmcaster in Alien Force.
Yeah.
But it kind of narrows it down to like there's really no mutants anymore. I guess Cooper kind of counts, even though his grandpa's a plumber.
Yeah.
Dark Star, they don't really say what
Dark
his power
Star
is.
is an alien.
No, he actually was confirmed to be a mutant.
When?
By Jerry J. Wyatt.
Well, in the show, I think he's the next episode of the episode after. He talks about how one of his parents is an alien.
I think you're just thinking he does.
What's y'all's thoughts on it? Do you like the alien approach? Do you miss the Ben 10 Classic way? I personally love the Alien Force. Hopper prefers the classic way over it.
I do. I'm not mad at the alien stuff. Like I said, it's just I think Classic was so broad. It had so many options that they could have done. And Alien Force is kind of it's just aliens. So
which I like better than being broad when you're an alien show.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Even with Ben 10 Classic, I would have much preferred it to all be aliens than it being all these other stuff because it's an alien show.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I think that's just a preference thing between me and you.
I guess I get like a comic book vibe from the first one where it's like Iron Man and Thor can exist, where it's like a tech genius who builds a robot suit and the god of thunder, like a Norse god of thunder can also exist. It's just cool that those ideas can clash. Like Ben can fight a magician. It's like interesting to me that an alien superhero isn't like only bound to fighting aliens. It's like more of an expanded universe kind of thing. Anyway,
difference of opinion.
But I like this episode a lot. I would give it 7 or 8, maybe 9.
Yeah, it's a good. This whole first season I think is straight bangers.
Yeah,
it's like Ben 10 season 2, Ben 10 Classic season 2. Yeah. Almost every episode's a banger kind of thing.
Honestly, the first 2 seasons, like I don't have a problem until we get to season 3.
Yeah. I've seen season 1 of Alien Force probably 3-4 times through, just that first season on reruns and stuff like that. So I've seen a lot of this first season. I still watch it all the way through again without getting tired of it.
They get turned into carbonite statues at one point from the DNA aliens.
Yeah, what the heck? And then Ben just melts it.
Yeah. Was it supposed to be ice and they were just...
I'm assuming it was like super cold, and that's why heat blast couldn't get changed. It's not really that.
Alan Albright?
Yeah.
Which was going to be, I think we mentioned this last time.
Say?
Heat blast.
Oh, yeah.
He's essentially heat blast.
Yeah.
In the last episode, they were, we talked about how Dwayne McDuffie's scripts got put online, by his widow. And they were referring to Alan as Heat Blast. So I think the idea was to kind of pass the names down.
Yeah.
Because we see Heat Blast, Fusion, we see a Forearms and an Accelerate. So it's like...
Because those are code names for a Pyrotechnite instead of being...
Pyronite.
I like Pyrotechnite better.
Pyrotechnite sounds like a boy's character.
That's just because of Technite.
Technite, yeah.
I saw a short for him today, and I really just hate his character so much.
They butchered that character in the show, yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. But anyway, so that's our review of episode 3.
Yeah.
What was the name of it?
Everyone talks about the weather, but no one does anything about it. That's the full quote. Everyone talks about the weather, but no one does anything about it. I mean, what are you supposed to do with the weather? What does that quote even mean?
That's a dumbass quote. I guess it's something. I guess it could be an analogy to everyone talks about their problems, but no one does anything about it.
It's probably like a joke or something. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, pretty good episode. Nice to be back on Alien Force, guys. Thank you guys for watching with us. And what were your thoughts on this episode? What are your thoughts on the season as a whole? Same as usual.
Do you like Alan? Do you like the idea of the original 10 Omnitrix aliens coming in somehow? Like, this is kind of how we're bringing them in, you know?
Yeah, and do you like the this version of them or the Omniverse retcon where they are actually mutants being messed with? Because I hate that. I hate that so much. I think it's way cooler to think the aliens came down and had little babies with humans and stuff. I think, to me, it gives them a cooler superpower aspect than the mutant thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It does make it more like like we were saying, comic booky. Like, like Alan feels way more like the Human Torch than like an alien to me.
Yes. So what are your thoughts on that?
I like the idea that like only the attractive looking aliens. I mean, not to say like forearms and accelerator are attractive, but like,
imagine a stinkfly having a baby.
That's exactly what I was like. No stinkfly. There's no real like galvanic mechamorph babies. You don't see anything like that.
That's
it's like
hilarious.
Or like there's no jet ray babies running around out there, ugly as manta guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, we'll see y'all in episode 3 of our review. It's episode 4 for the next one.
Yep. Bye.